This is the story of the B-2 Spirit, the most secretive, most expensive, and most technologically advanced bomber ever built. When people say stealth bomber, this is what they mean. The B-2 didn't just redefine aerial warfare. It redefined what engineering can achieve when politics, innovation, and dollars meet in perfect shadowy chaos. It all began in the grim early days of stealth research. Back in the 1970s and 1980s, Cold War tensions were high, and the U.S. military needed something that could penetrate enemy radar defenses undetected. Enter the Advanced Technology Bomber ATB project. From the moment Northrop Grumman took the prime contractor role, they knew they were building more than a plane, they were building the future. The manufacturing story of the B-2 is a tale of materials, secrecy, and scale. Unlike traditional aircraft, this one was almost entirely molded from carbon fiber composites. More than 10,000 composite parts, graphite epoxy skins, and honeycomb structures formed a single flowing flying wing skin, strong enough to house engines, crew, and weapons, yet light as a whisper. The only exceptions were titanium used in internal beams and engine compartments. To build such a masterpiece, Northrop couldn't rely on off-the-shelf tools or factories. They had to invent the entire process. Hyper-specialized molds, software systems, three-dimensional modeling, a manufacturing ecosystem where even the smallest misalignment could jeopardize stealth. Workers described the B-2 line as a place of rigorous discipline, every move monitored, every step controlled for absolute precision. A slip meant weeks of recertification. The bomber's iconic flying wing shape, first envisioned by Jack Northrop as the YB-49 in 1949, was reborn in carbon fiber for stealth. By eliminating a tail, vertical stabilizers, and radar reflective surfaces, the B-2 dramatically lowers its radar cross-section, making it appear like a tennis ball on enemy radar screens. That stealthiness is also achieved through special composite coatings, infrared masking, sound-dampening materials, and precise shaping to reduce all radar, visual, heat, and acoustic signatures. Even the test range was classified. Northrop built the Tejon Ranch Radar Cross-Section Facility, hidden deep in the Antelope Valley, to measure how different surfaces reflected radar. Aeroforms were mounted on rotating turrets and bombarded with radar energy to tweak their shape until they became invisible enough to pass and fly. All of this secrecy cost money. Initial estimates envisioned 132 B-2s, but as complexity mounted, the Cold War ended and costs soared. The number dropped to just 21. Each airplane ended up costing over $2 billion when adjusted for inflation, making it arguably the most expensive aircraft in history. The total program bill soared to $44 billion or more, around $13,000 per pound of aircraft. Production was centralized at USAF Plant 42 in Palmdale, California. Major sections came from 250 subcontractors across the UAs, then shipped and assembled in secret behind fences and armed guards. The first flight took place in July 1989. Production wrapped around 2000. The B-2 carries 4 General Electric F118-GE100 turbofans chosen for low infrared signature and efficient subsonic performance, a perfect match for a stealth bomber that prefers invisibility over speed. Beyond the stealth and structure, the bomber's systems were equally complex. It features dual rotary bomb bays that can rotate and deploy up to 40,000 pounds of weapons, either conventional JDAMs or nuclear B-83s, all triggered by computerized automation to reduce radar exposure time. But building relic-like perfection isn't enough. Maintaining it is a different beast. Each hour the B-2 flies demands 119 hours of maintenance, double the B-1's needs and more than double the B-52's, thanks mainly to its stealth coatings and delicate composites. Weather-controlled hangars that cost $5 million per unit are needed just to house it, adding to its yearly operating cost of over $30 million per plane. Maintenance yards perform depot-level refreshes roughly every 9 years, involving massive restoration, especially of low observable surfaces. Despite the costs, The B-2 can reach anywhere in the world, with a range of about 6,000 nautical miles unrefueled and the ability to carry both conventional and thermonuclear weapons. It emerged as a symbol of U.S. strategic power and deterrence during and long after the Cold War. The bomber has seen combat, notably in Kosovo in 1999, demonstrating its value in precision strikes. 2 aircraft flew a 15-hour mission, refueled mid-air, and hit targets undetected. However, the B-2's history hasn't been without drama. In 2008, Spirit of Kansas crashed in Guam during takeoff due to moisture in air sensors, triggering a stall and ground impact, resulting in a $1.4 billion loss. A sobering reminder that even the most sophisticated machines remain vulnerable to small failures. The bomber continues to fly, maintained by Northrop and the USAF. In fact, in 2024, depot maintenance on B-2s was completed 91 days ahead of schedule thanks to advanced pre-inspection planning and prioritizing fuel system inspections, reducing delays and cost. Looking ahead, the BB-21 Raider is set to succeed the B-2, developed at the same Palmdale facility. It promises updated stealth, automation, and cost control, hopefully avoiding the B-2's tumultuous cost trajectory. Yet, today the B-2 remains unique. 20 aircraft for a $23 billion program, including development, production, and upgrades, means each plane represents a pinnacle of Cold War-era ambition and engineering resolve. In the quiet assembly halls of Plant 42, pieces of carbon fiber join together under strict controls, marching toward becoming the silent ghost over enemy skies. Each bomber may be rare, but together they embody a philosophy that sometimes the highest price delivers not extravagance, but the power of the unseen. But here's the part that really blows minds. The B-2 isn't just about its airframe or radar-absorbing skin. It's about the integration of systems that make the entire aircraft act like a living, breathing organism. Every sensor, every computer, every hydraulic pump, and every software line works in harmony. The plane was built not only to hide, but also to think faster than its enemies. Engineers say the B-2's onboard computer systems were decades ahead of their time, capable of processing signals, countering enemy radar sweeps, and adjusting its stealth profile in real time. That's why pilots often compare flying the B-2 to being part of a symphony. Every element comes together seamlessly to create something greater than the sum of its parts. One often overlooked part of the bomber's design is its maintenance. Unlike older aircraft, which could be rolled into a hangar and worked on by just about any airbase crew, the B-2 requires its own highly specialized climate-controlled shelters. That radar-absorbing coating? It can't be left exposed to random desert sand or humid air. Every tiny scratch or imperfection can compromise stealth. This means the Air Force invested in creating high-tech facilities just to house and service these bombers. It's one of the reasons the B-2 costs so much per flight hour. Every mission requires a delicate choreography of preparation, care, and post-flight work. And let's not forget the human side of this. The B-2 is flown by a crew of just 2 pilots, but the support behind them is staggering. From mission planners to ground maintenance teams to stealth coding specialists, each flight involves hundreds of hands making sure everything works exactly as it should. Pilots often undergo years of training before they're even trusted to sit in the cockpit. Because flying a B-2 isn't just about navigation or weapons delivery, it's about managing one of the most complex aircraft ever conceived. Veterans describe the experience as both exhilarating and exhausting. There's no room for error because a single mistake can compromise billions of dollars of technology and decades of strategy. But here's the fascinating irony. This symbol of advanced technology, this marvel of human engineering, is largely invisible. Its missions are rarely publicized. Its flights often go unreported. Even when the B-2 deploys, it slips in and out without anyone knowing until long after the fact. Unlike fighter jets that roar across the skies or transport aircraft that carry humanitarian aid, the B-2's story is one of silence and shadows. And that's exactly what it was built for. to remind adversaries that no matter how strong their defenses, there's always a ghost lurking in the skies above. Over time, the B-2 has also become a political tool. Its flyovers at major events are not just military demonstrations, they're subtle warnings, projections of power designed to remind allies and enemies alike of what America is capable of. When a B-2 glides silently over a stadium during a national holiday, it's not just showing off, it's sending a carefully crafted message that this aircraft is both a guardian and a deterrent. That symbolism is priceless, even beyond the billions spent building and maintaining it. Of course, the program wasn't without controversy. Critics have long argued that the B-2's astronomical price tag outweighed its benefits. With only 21 bombers ever built and billions sunk into research and production, many questioned whether America could have invested that money into more practical aircraft or even non-military projects like healthcare and infrastructure. But supporters counter that the bomber's very existence prevented wars from escalating. If adversaries knew the U.S. had a weapon capable of striking anywhere in the world undetected, they might think twice before provoking conflict. In that sense, the B-2 wasn't just a war machine, it was a silent peacekeeper. And then there's the evolution of technology. When the B-2 was first unveiled, it seemed almost alien. But today, as newer projects like the B-21 Raider emerge, the question arises, has the B-2 already outlived its prime? The Air Force insists the bomber will remain relevant for decades, especially with ongoing upgrades in avionics, communications, and stealth coatings. In many ways, the B-2 serves as the blueprint for the future of stealth. The lessons learned from its design and maintenance are now guiding the next generation of aircraft, proving that the B-2 wasn't just a weapon, it was a stepping stone toward the future of aerial warfare. What's even more remarkable is how the bomber's existence reshaped global military strategies. Nations around the world took notice. Russia invested in more advanced radar systems, while China pushed forward with its own stealth projects. The ripple effect of the B-2's introduction was felt everywhere, sparking a new arms race centered not around numbers, but around invisibility. The bomber changed the game by showing that air superiority wasn't about how many aircraft you had. It was about who could remain unseen the longest. Still, despite all the secrecy and innovation, the B-2 has had its share of vulnerabilities. In 2008, one of the bombers, the Spirit of Kansas, crashed shortly after takeoff in Guam due to a maintenance error. While the crew ejected safely, the incident highlighted how even the most advanced machines are only as strong as the humans operating them. That single crash represented not just the loss of a $1.4 billion aircraft, but also a reminder that perfection in aviation is a myth. Every system, no matter how advanced, has limits. Yet, despite its challenges, the B-2 remains unmatched. Even today, no other country possesses a bomber with the same combination of range, payload, and stealth. And perhaps that's why it continues to captivate imaginations worldwide. It's not just an aircraft, it's a symbol of ambition, ingenuity, and the relentless pursuit of dominance in the skies. As the world looks toward the future, with drone swarms, hypersonic missiles, and AI-driven warfare on the horizon, the B-2 still soars as a reminder of what happens when humans dream big and refuse to accept limits. Built in secrecy, refined through innovation, and tested in the crucible of global politics, the bomber represents the height of Cold War determination and the dawn of a new military era. And in the end, that's the real story of the B-2. It's not just how it was made in factories with specialized coatings and titanium bolts, it's about why it was made and the world it helped shape. One of the more fascinating aspects of the B-2 is how it has remained relevant for over 3 decades in service, despite rapid technological shifts in warfare. When it first flew in the late 1980s, the internet was in its infancy, GPS was not yet widely available, and precision-guided munitions were still evolving. Yet the bomber was designed with adaptability in mind. Engineers ensured that the B-2 could be upgraded with new avionics, sensors, and weapon systems, meaning the same aircraft that once carried unguided bombs in the 90s can now deliver cutting-edge precision strike packages. This foresight is one of the reasons why the B-2 hasn't been retired yet. It was built to grow with technology, not be left behind by it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next mission. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more. And hey, turn on the bell so you never miss when a new one drops.